All right, Steelers Nation, buckle up because today's update is packed with everything a real fan wants to know. Breaking news, insider info, strong opinions, and even a bit of controversy surrounding the team. We're diving deep into what's happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, especially focusing on one major storyline that's heating up fast. It involves a prominent player who's inching closer and closer to signing with the Black and gold. According to multiple voices close to the situation, this move it is more of a when than an if, and we could see it finalized very soon, possibly even before organized team activities kick off. So let's break down exactly what's going on. Now, this isn't just speculation pulled out of thin air. People with real connections to the player have gone on record saying that there's been contact, that there's real interest, and that the Steelers are a front runner to land him. He's got history with one of the key coaches currently working in Pittsburgh, and that bond could be what tips the scales in favor of this deal getting done. When you think about team fit philosophy and readiness, Pittsburgh makes a whole lot of sense. We've seen this player's name floating around for months, but now the chatter is louder, more specific, and quite frankly, more believable. What's even more telling is the tone coming from people who know him personally. His former coach, someone who spent years mentoring him, recently made some eye-opening remarks. He expressed strong belief that not only does the player want to suit up again this season, but that he sees Pittsburgh as the ideal landing spot. There's no doubt in his mind that the player has more football left in him and that he's just looking for the right situation. And if that situation is Pittsburgh, it could be the perfect storm. To add more fuel to this fire, the player's own biographer, a guy who's chronicled several major athletes over the years, weighed in. He doesn't speak on the player's behalf every day, but he's had enough contact to offer some valuable insight. According to him, the player fully intends to be on the field this year. He's aware of the challenges in his personal life, and those hurdles might be delaying things slightly, but they're not enough to stop him from suiting up. The understanding is that behind the scenes, there's been communication between him and the Steelers. He wants to play. He just doesn't want to show up too early and have to miss time unnecessarily due to off-the-field matters. From what the biographer hinted at, the plan is for those personal matters to be resolved, or at least under control, by the end of May, which lines up perfectly with the Steelers' off-season schedule. Let's remember, organized team activities are right around the corner. They kick off on Tuesday, the 27th of May. So if this guy can join up around then, or shortly after, it would be an ideal scenario. You'd love to see him there. From the first snap of practice, getting acclimated, learning the system, and building chemistry with the rest of the offense, especially because timing is everything. For a player who hasn't worked with these receivers or this new offensive coordinator before, every rep matters. These offseason workouts are where quarterbacks build rhythm with wideouts, where they start to learn how guys come out of their breaks, how fast they accelerate, how sharp their cuts are. And it's also a time for the quarterback to get in sync with the center, to start feeling out protections, and to understand the nuances of the offense in real-time situations. It's one thing to study film or look at a playbook. It's another thing entirely to execute plays during OTAs with the defense breathing down your neck. These practices are critical. Helmets come on, scrimmages happen, and you start running real plays. It's the closest thing to live action that players will get before training camp officially begins. That's why having your quarterback there, involved and fully committed, makes all the difference. If the Steelers can get this guy in by then, it would be a massive boost. He'll get to start those invaluable reps and maybe even start forming bonds that could define the season ahead. Let's also not pretend this signing doesn't come with baggage. He's coming off a rough chapter in New York. The disappointment that was real, and in many people's eyes, he became the face of that failure. Fair or not, that's how the story was told. But there's a sense now that he's ready to turn the page. He's not coming in with expectations of lighting the league on fire or winning the MVP. What he wants, and what Pittsburgh might need, is stability. A quarterback who can guide a team, manage games, and more than anything, be reliable week after week. And let's be real, this team isn't miles away. Last season, despite a rotating cast of quarterbacks and an offense that looked completely out of sync at times, the Steelers still managed to notch 10 wins and make the playoffs. That alone says a lot about the strength of the roster, the coaching, and the resilience of the team. Now imagine plugging in a veteran quarterback who can bring a steady hand and a bit of experience to the position. It's not hard to picture this team hitting 11 wins, maybe even stealing a playoff game. That's the goal, right? Not just to make the postseason, but to finally win when it counts. And sure, we're not talking about winning the Super Bowl. Let's be honest about that. But going 11-6 with a playoff victory, that's absolutely within reach. The defense is strong, the skill players are developing, and with a few key additions, the offense could turn a corner. If this quarterback shows up and plays like a competent starter, or better yet, an above average one, it could be the difference between another early exit and a legitimate postseason run. That's the scenario that has people excited. There's also the health factor. One key defender needs to stay on the field, and if that happens, the ceiling gets even higher. You look at this current roster and compare it to last year's version, and there's no question, it's better, it's deeper, it's more balanced. So if the quarterback does his part, double-digit wins aren't just possible, they're expected. And honestly, that's the kind of expectation this franchise needs right now. Enough of barely getting by. It's time to push forward. And with this particular quarterback leading the way, the optimism is warranted. He's got a higher ceiling than the guys who started last year. He's got playoff experience, he's played in big moments, and if he brings just a fraction of that to the table, he instantly elevates his team. Still, not everyone's on board. There's been some talk from a former Steelers backup quarterback who seems to think one of the current guys has an edge over the incoming veteran, even if he signs. According to him, because the current player has been with the team longer, he knows the offense better and might be better prepared to start the season. Let's just say that opinion has sparked some serious debate, because here's the thing. Sure, the guy's been around the system longer. He's taken reps. He knows the terminology. He's been in the building. But come on, we're talking about a proven quarterback with real NFL accomplishments. If he signs, he's not coming to compete for the job. He's coming to take it. No coach is bringing in a name like that just to let him ride the bench. The only way the other quarterback sees the field is if the veteran gets hurt or completely flames out. And that's the reality of the situation. In fact, the current quarterback even acknowledged in a recent interview that he's aware the team might bring in another player. He said the staff has been transparent with him, that they've communicated a plan, and that he's prepared for more competition. He also mentioned the usual, that teams often carry 4 quarterbacks into training camp, so he knew the roster wasn't final. But let's be honest, if they signed a big-name quarterback everyone's talking about, it won't be an even playing field. Still, the fact that he's still in the building is a good thing. He's a solid backup, no question about it. He showed last season that he can step in when needed and hold things together. That kind of reliability is rare and valuable in the NFL. But make no mistake, he's a backup. The moment a veteran walks in, the pecking order becomes crystal clear. And if you don't believe that, just look at the numbers. The veteran has a much higher completion percentage, way more touchdowns, and far fewer interceptions. The current guy almost hit a 4% interception rate last season. That's a major red flag. And even in what many called a down year for the veteran, he still posted better metrics across the board. So no, this is not a competition. It's not a battle. It's not open season. If the veteran signs, he's the guy. End of story. Even the coaching staff likely sees it that way. Mike Tomlin is the one calling the shots. And whatever people might say about him, he has total control over football operations. And the ownership, led by Art Rooney II, stays out of it, as they should. There's been some chatter online about Rooney letting Tomlin run the team unchecked. And some have even questioned if that's a good thing. But honestly, it's one of the strengths of this franchise. Unlike owners who meddle, like Dan Snyder or Jerry Jones, Rooney trusts his football people to do their jobs. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the NFL, quarterback Baker Mayfield has signed a 3-year contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The agreement marks a pivotal turn in Mayfield's career and a bold statement of intent from the Steelers as they seek to reestablish themselves as contenders in the AFC. After an up and down journey that began when he was selected as the #1 overall pick by the Cleveland Browns in the 2018 NFL Draft, Mayfield has now found a new home in Pittsburgh. Known for his fiery competitiveness, quick release, and vocal leadership, the 29-year-old quarterback is expected to bring both experience and swagger to a team that has struggled to find consistency under center since the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger. Mayfield's NFL path has been anything but smooth. His early years in Cleveland were marked by flashes of brilliance and tough growing pains, culminating in a 2020 campaign where he led the Browns to their first playoff win in over 25 years, following a rocky 2021 season and shoulder injuries. He was traded to the Carolina Panthers, later finishing the 2022 season with the Los Angeles Rams. In 2023, he signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he impressed with a resurgent season, reigniting his value as a starting quarterback. The Steelers coming off a season of modest offensive production and ongoing questions surrounding their quarterback situation are clearly banking on Mayfield's experience and leadership to stabilize the position. The deal not only secures a proven starter, but also signals Pittsburgh's commitment to competing now rather than rebuilding. Financial details of the agreement have not yet been disclosed, but the 3-year duration indicates that both sides view this as more than a short-term fix. With a solid core on defense and a promising young group of receivers, Mayfield could be the catalyst that re-energizes the Steelers' offense and reignites the fan base's championship aspirations. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.